Welcome back into Foxborough Rush. Great to have you alongside as we talk about the 7-2 Patriots and their march down to Tampa Bay. Tough place to play, Keagan.
Yeah, not fun to go down there. If it's not bad enough that they're a good football team, the weather, never fun, especially this time of year, because you're coming up from the cold and it's going to be humid. We've seen the Patriots struggle in that environment down in Miami, so it should be a difficult one for them.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, as we said, how they answer this test, this iteration, of the weekly test that they take on. Let's get a little bit more perspective here from the Bucs side of things. And for that, we will head down to Tampa. Bailey Adams of Pewter Report has been covering the team for quite some time now. Bailey, thanks for hanging with us on Foxborough Rush for a bit.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Excited to talk some Bucs Patriots.
All right, so look, these are two teams that don't play each other very often. We all know that. And the Bucs are coming off a bye. Baker is never out of a game. It doesn't seem to matter who he has to throw the ball to. He just finds a way to remain in it. How would you characterize this Bucs team this season at this point in the schedule, Bailey?
I'd say battle tested. I mean, week by week they're losing more and more guys, it seems like, and regardless, it doesn't really seem like it matters who they lose. As weird as that sounds, they've been able to find a way, and a lot of that has come down to Baker Mayfield. He has just been the leader that this team needs through this kind of adversity. And out of the bye week, they were thinking hopefully they could get some of these guys back a little bit, maybe even for this Sunday's game. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, so it's just going to be another test for them to go out there and kind of try to get the job done with what they have.
Because they've been without so many specifically offensive players, I think those are the guys that we all have our eyes on, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Bucky Irving. Emeka Egbuka has stepped up big time, specifically early in the year, but he's been the guy for Baker Mayfield. What have you seen out of him, and what has made him, I guess, so effective early on in his career? Because it's not easy for a wide receiver to step right in and be the number one target immediately.
I feel like in some cases we should be surprised, or in some respects we should be surprised, but given the guy he's been since he got in the building, the maturity, the football IQ, the professionalism that he has displayed, he has been able to just step right in and do the job. I mean, I think we saw it early on in the season, even when Mike Evans was healthy. Egbuka was that guy who was kind of carrying the offense, and now that he's been asked to be the number one guy, he really hasn't missed a step. I mean, he's getting more attention. He's drawing more coverages and getting doubled a little bit more. But offensive coordinator Josh Grizzard said this week, they've still got to find a way to get him the ball, even in those double coverage situations, because he's their number one guy now, kind of by default, but also kind of into the fact that he's earned it.
Yeah. What was it like in the early going between him and Baker, right? Like, I just wondered, how much did they both lean in, before things even really got going this season? It's so rare that you see a guy take off the way he has. And obviously I understand, the way he played in college, where he played in college, all those things have a factor. But was there anything that the two of them did that maybe is unique to them and how they sort of got this off the ground with such a rapid fire?
Yeah, it's funny because it started I believe the morning after Egbuka got drafted. So it was, obviously a whirlwind of a time. He's getting down to Tampa to do all the media stuff, to get his picture with the jersey, get a tour of the facility. And Baker reaches out to him, and Baker took him and his family, all who had flown down to Tampa, took them out to brunch or breakfast, whatever it was. And I think some of the offensive linemen went as well. So, I mean, just from day one, getting them on the same page and kind of welcoming him with open arms and kind of realizing, this is going to be one of our guys. And, the chemistry, even from that point on, early on in mini camp and into training camp, it was very evident. And we kind of saw, one, that they had a special connection, but two, that Egbuka was just kind of a different kind of rookie. He's not the guy who's going to take, a few weeks to get his feet underneath him. He was ready to hit the ground running. So I think it's a credit to both of them and the relationship they've forged, but also I can't say enough about what Egbuka has done since he's gotten in, and all that we've heard from people inside the building about the kind of guy and the kind of player and the kind of preparer that he is.
Mm.
On the other side of the ball, Drake May has been the storyline for the Patriots, I would say, this year, if not going back to the latter half of last year. So he's somebody that we always have our attention on, and I'm always interested to see what the outside perspective is. Not just from you, but maybe from some of the players you've talked to this week about defending him and seeing what he's done in his second year, because it's obviously been more than most expected.
Yeah, you can tell that there's a lot of people impressed with what he's done, and I think there's a lot of respect for how he's developed and how he's kind of burst onto the scene, toward the end of last year, but especially into this year. I mean, the numbers he's put up and the fact that he has led the Patriots to this point at 7-2, there's a ton of respect for him. I know Baker talked about it this week and said how awesome it's been to kind of see how he has taken that next step and how where he has the Patriots playing right now. So yeah, ton of respect for him, and I know they're going to be have to be wary of what they're going to see come Sunday, because this has been a defense that's been playing pretty well, but this is also a Patriots offense that can get the job done.
Yeah, what have you heard from some of the guys on that defense in terms of their vantage point heading into this game? We know that Bowles throws a bunch of different looks. We certainly know from Drake May's perspective and from this young offensive line perspective, there's going to be a lot that is new to them in this one. But I'm curious on the Tampa side, how are they looking at it, and what's sort of their rallying cry or their message, inside the locker room in terms of what they're going to be facing in the Patriots offense this week?
I think it is a lot of, like you said, sending everything at Drake May. I think that will be, that's one of the things that Todd Bowles just does in general. It's not just a Drake May specific thing. That's Todd Bowles' calling card. But I think this defense kind of takes on that image itself and really thrives on that. So, their message and kind of their perspective coming into this one is kind of keep doing what they've been doing. They've been on a run in recent weeks where they've been seeing the sack numbers go up. They've been taking the ball away at a higher clip, which is something they had a huge emphasis on going into this year because of, I think last year they had only 7 interceptions the whole year. This year they have 7 in the first 8 games. I think they have 12 or 13 takeaways in the first 8 games, and most of those have come back in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So a lot of it is kind of staying assignment sound and continuing to do what they've been doing and trying to get the ball away and make those game-changing plays that are going to swing things in their direction.
There have been obviously the injuries to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but a lot of players who have been around for a while, and I think about Levante David, guys like that. It seems like they're headed into the latter half or the end of their tenure in Tampa Bay, or at least being who we've come to expect them to be. What has that shift been like? Because, we saw it in New England a couple of times where guys who had won a Super Bowl and been really successful for a long time eventually move on, and the Patriots really struggled with replacing them. How have you seen the path, the process of trying to bring in guys that will eventually replace franchise legends?
It's tough, and I think it's actually kind of in two different molds right now because of drafting Emeka Egbuka. Last year in the 3rd round, they got Jalen McMillan out of Washington, who unfortunately had the neck injury in the preseason. We're kind of unsure about his future right now, but bringing in a guy like Egbuka, you kind of feel a little bit more comfortable about, okay, especially with what we've seen him do so far. It's like, okay, whenever it is, whether it's at the end of this season or if it's at the end of next season, if Mike Evans hangs him up, you've got that guy who's going to be your go-to, you think. It's a little bit different for Levante David. I think at inside linebacker, they have kind of struggled to build a room and kind of find that next guy in waiting. They've wanted it to be Servassier Dennis, who has taken on a larger role this year, but he struggled quite a bit in coverage so far. And I think a lot of people, not within the building, more so within the fan base, are losing patience in him. And I think the Bucs still like him, but I don't think they really are prepared for it to be the end for Levante David, even though all signs kind of seem like it might be. He's 35 years old. He turns 36 in January, and he's been doing the 1-year contract year to year for I think 4 or 5 years now. So it's going to be a tough shift and transition, especially at the linebacker position. And I think in terms of the leadership that they're going to be losing eventually, they're in a good spot with that. General Manager Jason Light has done a fantastic job drafting high character guys and leader guys who were captains in college. So I think from a culture perspective, they have guys that are in place that will carry things forward. It's just, personnel wise, especially at linebacker, they're going to have to find an answer probably this offseason.
Look, I mean, they found the answer at quarterback, right? Which is more than half the battle in this league. And, we heard Mike Vrabel say it this week. You can pretty much count, just keep on going, the number of people who will tell you Baker's never out of a game. And we see it week in and week out. You don't even need to tell you. All you got to do is watch, right? I mean, this, Bailey. What has Baker come to mean for this franchise?
It's been spectacular to watch because, his story is so fascinating, and I think his story is relatable, and it makes him kind of, I think early on, maybe even like a kind of a sympathetic character just because of the way things ended in Cleveland and how it went in Carolina and all of that. But when you're going from, and you guys know, like when you're going from Tom Brady to a new quarterback, it is the toughest thing I think you can probably do as a quarterback. And the way that Baker has assumed that role, and from day one when he won the job in 2023 and got them and kept them going, got them to the playoffs that year, won the division, and has continued to do that. He has kind of rallied this city and this fan base around him. And it's been very impressive to watch because I think part of it is he has kind of a magnetic personality in that he's just one of the guys, and you hear that a lot in the locker room. I mean, his offensive linemen love just hanging out with him. But yeah, I think this city and this fan base has really taken to him and has loved the fact that he is now their quarterback. And the Bucs have gotten lucky in a sense to go from Tom Brady and how Brady came in, changed the culture, helped them win a Super Bowl, helped them kind of reset a little bit because this is a franchise that hadn't been to the playoffs for so long. But now it's kind of that culture is set in, and Baker has done a fantastic job to carry it forward. And the fans love him. He is their guy.
Game-wise, what are some of the specific things you'll be watching for on both sides?
I think, as like I just mentioned, we talked about how the pressure that the Todd Bowles likes to bring. That I think is going to be a huge element from what the Bucs are going to try to do defensively. Something that you mentioned before I was on was, if the Patriots can score, that opening script, if they can score early, that's a thing that the Bucs have struggled with this season. They are giving up a lot of first drive touchdowns, and then they kind of buckle down after that. And I'm interested in seeing if the bye week kind of helped them maybe figure some things out that were going wrong right from the start. It's weird. You've even seen it kind of in the first drive of the second half too. It's like those first drives, whether it's out of the locker room, I don't know what's happening, but they have struggled on those drives, and then they get the job done otherwise. But I think offensively, I'm curious to see what Baker Mayfield looks like in this game. He was looking like an MVP caliber quarterback the first 6 weeks. Struggled the last 2 weeks before the bye. I know he's been dealing with a bit of a knee injury and an oblique injury, and I think it's affected him. He said, I think he's kind of downplayed it, as he will, but I think the opposing defenses have taken away his escape lanes. That's one of the things he did so well early on in the season was escape and make plays on the run and pick up the 12, 13, 14, 15 yards that he needed on a key third down, and he hasn't done that in the last 2 weeks. And I think part of that is his knee and the injury he's dealing with, but I think it's also something that defenses have keyed in on. So whether he can look more like the week 1 through 6 Baker is the key on the Bucs offensive side of the thing. And like I mentioned, with the Bucs defense, it is bringing pressure on Drake May and trying to not let him get comfortable. And if he can get the ball out quick and move the ball down the field, then I think the Patriots will be in good shape.
Give us a prediction before we let you go, Bailey.
So actually, just before I hopped on here, wrote this in. We have our predictions come out every Friday before the game. I always do this for some reason. I have a feeling about a game and then I go against it. So I have a bad feeling from a Bucs perspective. I don't know if this is a good matchup for them, and I picked them anyway. I had the Bucs winning 23-17. I really am kind of hinging things on Todd Bowles' defense. The offense for the Bucs right now is concerning me a little bit. They're still waiting to get Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin Jr. They might get right tackle Luke Gedeke back this week. Not really sure yet. I think that might be the case, but I think this defense has been playing really, really well, and I see that continuing.
All right. We'll see. Sounds like you're a little split. Like you said, you got a feeling, but you're going to go against it and take the Bucs in this one. We'll see how it all shakes out. Look forward to this one. It's a big test for both of these teams as they sit in that 2 seed in their respective conferences. Bailey Adams, thanks for hanging with us a bit on Foxborough Rush.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bailey.
We'll be back with much more right after this.